These are a few of the books that I've read. Hello. It has been a long time, like since September. So that's a lot of months. That's 6 months because it's April now. Oh, maybe that's 7 months. Since I have done a wrap up, I tell you all the books that I've read since September. We'll start at the start. The first book I read was, I think it was the only book I fully read in November, and I did a book talk on it. Crown of Midnight by Sarah J Maas. Yeah. I loved it because I just love the general feel of these books. But it took me a whole month to read. I don't know, it was very slow moving for me. Not a lot happened, except in the last third, everything was like, pew. I think I would rate this like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read is The Diviners by Libba Bray, and yes, I finally finished this book 3 years later. I ended up finishing it on audiobook, which is amazing. If you are struggling with this book or you like listening to audiobooks, get this. It's amazing. I'd probably rate this like a 3.8 out of 5 stars. I think people classify it as fantasy, but for me it's more paranormal. It's got a lot of ghosts and it's about this ghost who's like terrorizing people, sort of. It's very hard to explain. It's very creepy. Very creepy. Do not read this if you think your house is haunted. It was really great, but it was very slow reading. I could never get into it until I listened to the audiobook. I'm excited to get into the second book, which luckily in Australia you can get a matching edition for this one. So I will be getting that. I've already got the audiobook to listen to just in case I can't get into it. I think I'll probably just listen to the audiobook anyway because it is such an experience. So going into December, I started reading more and more, which was great. This next book I'd heard a lot of good things about, so I was very skeptical. It's a very hyped author and I've never read any of her other books before. I just really wanted this book because I think it's physically beautiful, and that is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, which I would rate a solid 4 out of 5 stars. I just love it. It's very Harry Potter, like very Harry Potter. I don't think this book could exist without Harry Potter. They have this very interesting system of magic. Like, who thinks of that? Great job, Rainbow. I really need to read Fangirl now, and then, because I think that would be interesting having read this first. Look at Simon and Bells. The next book I read is probably one of the best books I've ever read in my life in terms of writing and creativity and formatting. That is Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. If you like sci-fi or you would like to get into sci-fi and don't know where to start, get this book. It is mind-blowingly good, and I'm scared of artificial intelligence, and a big part of this book is scary artificial intelligence, and I still loved it. I've wanted to read the audiobook, but it's not available in Australia or New Zealand yet, unless you want to buy the actual CD set, which is like $80. But I tweeted the authors and I asked them where in Australia can I get the audiobook online, and Amy replied to me and she said they've only just got the rights for it here, which I think it's a bit weird because they are Australian authors, but I don't know how any of this works. Maybe they're not published by an Australian publishing company, except for obviously the boring paperback edition. I'm obsessed with this, and I do know this book has been optioned for a movie, and I'm very interested to see that if that comes about, how they're going to go about it because of the formatting and everything. Oh wow. Brad Pitt, come through. What a beautiful cover. The next 2 books I read, I don't have them on me, so I will just put a picture here. The first one I read, I listened to it through an audiobook, and that was Is Everyone Hanging Out Without Me by Mindy Kaling, who is one of my favorite comedians ever. It was really interesting because it's all set before she got the Mindy Project TV show, before that was a thing, before she was writing it. Set. it's about her life before that. I don't watch The Office. I've never been able to get into The Office. It was really funny and interesting. I love audiobooks that are biographies that are read by the author. I gave this, I think, a 4 on Goodreads, but I think I would give it a 3.8 out of 5 stars because while it is read by Mindy, her personality doesn't really shine through. It's just like she's reading something. It's hard to explain. It's like a bit flatly read, if that makes sense. Then the next one I own the book, but I've lent it to a friend who finished it like months ago, but I just haven't gotten the book back yet, and that is You Deserve a Drink by Mamrie Hart, which is the funniest book I have ever read in my life. If you like Mamrie, you have to read this book. It is so fun. Like, if you find her remotely funny, read it because it is, I swear to God, it's funnier than her videos. And I used to not find her funny, and then I watched Hey USA with her and Grace Helbig and I fell in love with her. I get her tweets sent to my phone and like every second tweet I'm like, this is me. We're the same person, she's just got a dirtier mind. I love her. And I saw No Filter Show when it came to Melbourne and so good. I wish Mamrie's book had an audiobook because I just feel like it would be so great. I did hear everything she said in her voice, but I would love an audiobook. So I gave that a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and just in general, it's top-notch book. Like 6 out of 5 stars, 10 out of 5 stars. It's so good. Moving on. I think this was my first finished book of the year, and that is The Iron King by Julie Kagawa. I always go to say Kawaga. I am faith fantasy trash. I just sped through it, and now I have the other 2 books in the series on my shelves waiting for me to read them, and I really like it a lot. I think I gave it a 3.8 out of 5 stars. I love the world. I love fairies. I love that it's sort of based on Shakespeare's fairies, I think, which I think is just based on general mythology, fairy tales sort of stuff. It's about this girl who finds out she's a fairy, and I'm already in love with Ash, so that's nice. If you like Styles from Teen Wolf or just Dylan O'Brien in general, you'll really like the character Puck. He is Styles in my head, sort of. But I imagine him as Dylan. The next book I read is gonna be a movie, and everyone's talking about this book now because there's gonna be a movie, but I read it before the trailer came out. And this is Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. Moyes? This goddamn book. I'm not going to detail too much about it because I will cry. This book, 5 out of 5 stars. If you haven't seen the trailer, don't watch it. It is very, very, very spoilery. Although the cast is great. Like, just go to the movies and see it. If you like romantic comedies, you will love it. If you like Notting Hill, Love Rosie, you will like this. This is a bit darker than those. It's still very, very good. This book wrecked me emotionally. Then, this is the first book in the Infernal Devices series, and it's called Clockwork Angel. This is a series in the Shadowhunter Chronicles by Cassandra Clare. A girl gets pulled into the Shadowhunter world. Not quite in the same way that Clary did. I think I like this book more than I liked the TMI series. It's sort of like steampunk, set in London in the late 19th century, so it's like set like in the Edwardian era. 1878 is the year. Will, I love Will. I like Jem too, but I'm like attracted to Will emotionally. Also physically, like if he were a real person, he would be beautiful. I haven't read any of the other Shadowhunters books since 2009 or 2010, so my brain's a bit foggy on what that was. All I've been going by is the movie and the TV show, and the TV show I hate. Like, I watch it every single week, but I just have a lot of strong feelings about it, and most of them are negative, except for Izzy. I haven't read the last 3 books of the TMI series, which is why I'm trying to power through these, and then I'll probably restart the TMI series and finish it, and then read Lady Midnight. The next book I read is Heir of Fire by Sarah J Maas, which I think is overhyped. The last third of this book is outstanding. I love it. And I love Sarah. I love the worlds she's created. Her writing voice is beautiful. It just flows like a very smooth river without like any rapids. I just thought this was a very slow moving book, and for probably until about the last third, I just didn't want to be with Selena. I was just so bored by her storyline, which is majority of the book. However, our new characters, Rowan, Manon, and Aiden, I love them a lot. All 3 of them. I just love them. But the last third of this book was just full on. Except the ending, so much of what I've just said about this book, I can't put in the video because it's spoilery. Anyway, I would probably rate this book like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was good, but it wasn't like amazing. I'm gonna get reading on Queen of Shadows before the 5th book comes out so I can read that with everyone. And then the next book I read, I was in mourning after it for such a long time, like a week. It's so good. I just needed a rest. I needed my brain to like stop thinking about how much I want the 2nd book in this duology, and that is Passenger by Alexandra Bracken. I really like her name. I think it's a lot of fun to say. First of all, this book is exquisite. This is so pretty. Except this font doesn't match the aesthetic of the rest of the fonts or the cover or the book. Why is it there? And like, so is this tree. I really like that the cover of this book really ties into the story. If you like historical fiction, definitely give this book a go. The perfect word to describe this book is beautiful. The relationship of our 2 main characters is lovely. It brought me to tears at times. I really just want the next book a lot, but I'm gonna have to wait like a whole freaking year for it. It's about a girl who finds out that she comes from a family of time travelers and everything's about to get majorly fucked up. So she has to go on a quest to find a thing to fix that. I'm really bad at explaining things, but it's good. Give it a go. 5 out of 5 stars. I love it. And then our next book, I was going to read Clockwork Prince, but I couldn't get into it because I couldn't stop thinking about Passenger, and then suddenly my eyes just fell on this book on my bookshelf and I was like, let's read it. And that is Uprooted by Naomi Novik, which, let me tell you, story-wise, I am obsessed with this book. There will definitely be a reread of this in the future. I'd love for them to make it into a movie, similar style to last year's Cinderella, but like also mixed with Snow White and the Huntsman aesthetic. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking about movies now and talk about the darn book. I was just like hooked. I haven't read a book this fast in a while. Actually, I read Passenger pretty fast. They both took me about a week each. I want it to be a movie. I think Aaron Tveit should play Sarkhan, the dragon, and that I should play Agnieszka. That's not how you say her name, probably. I love Aaron Tveit. I watched Grease live 3 times in 48 hours. That's a 3-hour production. I love Grease live. I like it more than the movie. I'm hopelessly devoted to this book. If I were to fancast the dragon as he's described, it'd probably be like a really young Colin O'Donoghue, maybe Dylan O'Brien. Anyway, we're not here to talk about fan casting. We're here to talk about how much I love this book. I gave it like a ballpoint 8 out of 5 stars. Probably like on like a really big scale, it'd probably be like a 94 out of 100. The only reason why it's not 5 out of 5 is because the writing is a bit stunted to read sometimes. There's a lot of Polish culture in this book and a lot of Polish terms and names. So I thought maybe this was originally written in Polish and then translated to English and edited a bit, but it wasn't. It was written in English first. The fact that I thought maybe it wasn't written in English first, maybe, I don't know. It is still very good writing. I really like the writing style. It was just a bit bumpy. Like a river with rapids in it. I felt like the ending of this book, I really liked how it wrapped up. However, I feel like the last 2 pages of this book should have been like 5 pages. I think that should have been more detailed because this isn't a series. I want to know what the forever of these characters is. I don't just want to know what life is for them when the book ends. I want to know more than that. I can imagine what it is, but I want to know more. But this book is great, read it. It's like wizards, but like Merlin wizards, so there's only like a handful of wizards who like look after the lands. It's not like Harry Potter where there's this whole community of them. To like give the premise of this book, it sounds really boring and also kind of creepy because this wizard takes a girl from a village every 10 years and then just like locks her up for 10 years and then lets her go, and then she doesn't want to live with her family anymore. I'm in mourning. I'm trying to read Clockwork Prince, but it's not happening, which is really frustrating for me because I've heard Clockwork Prince is unbelievably good. So I really just gotta get into it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye! Because I love Dorian and Selena. Wow, my mind has gone blank. Oh, I can't get the cover back on. Insanely creatively well. What is this sentence? Excuse me. Oh, there's hair in my lip gloss. Thanks, Ariana Grande.